Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports. When
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
This one's special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Just wasn't the same without you, buddy. You know.
What, was it a better show?
No. I mean, look, yesterday was a solo hour, which is always interesting. Then we had Bronathan for a couple of shows.
That's always good.
It's good with Bronny. I even got to speak a little bit. And then Zane. And then Zane did it a day as well.
That's not very good with Zane.
Well, I think it's good because I got to speak, but but it's always better during the go hour with my buddy Olin Buchanan.
Come back with the Uncle Rico look.
You should.
Yeah,
it's a good look.
So Arizona was amazing.
I could tell you were having fun,
but it's always good to be home.
Yeah, good to be back in Texas.
Yeah.
So I have a question to start off the show with.
Okay.
And I actually have some thoughts on
by the way, let me say this.
No.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Happy anniversary, honey. Love you. I know you're watching.
Is that today?
Today.
Happy anniversary, Irma.
20-something years.
How have you done it? Because I've done this for 4 years, and it's hard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've overlooked some of her issues. Sorry. Get back
all good. No.
Get back to the question. I wanted to get that out of the way.
So here's a question, and I want this for the audience, okay? I want participation. I want some text. I don't know if I want a phone call because we've had phone issues.
Okay.
But here's what I want, all right? I want for you all to tell me, and that was really good English, what has to happen to define a bounce-back year for Aggie athletics, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to give you some thoughts. Jump in, okay?
Okay.
So there's different tiers. You know, I see things in tiers, okay? Championship contender type tier, okay? We all know it does. Look, I want women's tennis to win as many national championships as possible. I want track and field. I want women's golf, men's golf. I want them all to win, okay? But it starts with football, okay? And for me, an Aggie athletics bounce back year would take a playoff contender / playoff maker in Texas A&M football, okay? To me, that's the foundation that drives everything. So you're in contention, and not the contention that we saw last year. Last year was great contention, except the bottom fell out. I'm talking about real contention at the end of the year, not because of you kind of fall your way into the playoffs. I'm saying like you're in the mix.
Okay.
Baseball. This is, again, championship contender type year for me to feel really good, okay? Baseball, deep run. Does that include the College World Series? I don't think it has to, based on how bad this year was, but a super regional run. Basketball, they get more grace, okay?
Yes.
Basketball, I'd like for you to make the tournament, but it's not a prerequisite. And then, of course, the other sports, you know, doing what they've been doing, right? I'd like for softball to have a little bit more success in the postseason. To me, a year from now, I'd be like, that was a hell of a year for Aggie athletics.
Yes. Football, I want to say 10 wins, but
10 wins and you're in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, at least 9.
Okay.
Be at least a game better, right? And I'm talking regular season.
Yep.
So if you got 9 in the regular season, then I'd say, okay.
On the right path.
You bounce back. You didn't bounce back as much as I'd like, but you bounced back.
But if you do that and you get to the College World Series and you get to the NCAA tournament in basketball?
Oh, I think just getting into the NCAA tournament in basketball, considering where, we've talked about that, where they were.
Yep.
He takes over with one player. I love everything Bucky's done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll see if it translates.
We'll see the results.
But everything he's done as far as the programming, I love it. I want to see volleyball be as good as they were last year.
Yes.
Or better.
Let's go better.
Yeah,
they were right there. They almost made the Elite Eight.
I want to see softball be as good, but
postseason success.
have the postseason. And I think that's really what it comes down to.
Well, to me,
get in the postseason and have real success.
To me, like again, there's different tiers. If we're taking a step back and saying what would be an Aggie, it starts with football. So if I were to tell you, all right, so because the second tier is solid improvement year. The second tier to me is all right. A&M gets to 9 wins. Okay, they win a nice bowl game football-wise. Baseball, they host a regional. Hopefully they move on, but maybe they don't. And basketball, again, in the tournament or close to the tournament. To me, that would be, hey, that was a good year for Aggie athletics. That would actually, to me, qualify as a bounce-back year. But if we look at this year, the one we just finished, the athletic calendar or the academic calendar, it wasn't as bad as people make it out to be.
It was disappointing.
It was disappointing.
I had this argument when I was in
Arizona?
No, when I was in Destin. With Kirk Bowles, who had written that it was like the A&M's worst athletic year because of expectations.
Right.
I said, no, they've had worse years. But yes, the anticipation makes it the most disappointing. So you've got to, I think, qualify it. You know, it's different. I think worse and most disappointing are two different things. I mean,
Football won 8 games with a new coach. That's a good year.
I've seen some bad years of football followed up by like Melvin Watkins basketball.
Right.
You know, so, but it's hard to imagine a more disappointing year considering where football was going into November. That basketball, look, I'm not going to say basketball had a disappointing year when they won a game in the NCAA tournament. Usually, or historically, we're glad to get into the NCAA tournament. But when you've got a 10-point, 12-point lead with 10 minutes to go and lose.
It's disappointing.
And don't go as far as you did. And then baseball and softball.
Well, that's why I say disappointing finishes.
Yeah.
Right? Collapses at the end. But if you take a step back at the athletic or the academic calendar, like volleyball was excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Softball, horrible finish, excellent regular season. And I personally define success by the postseason, but I am not taking away what was an awesome regular season. Like it was awesome. It was fantastic. It brought a lot of joy for several weeks and months to fans. Okay, women's tennis, they finished number 2.
Yeah, they're I mean that. If you can get to the point, listen, I hope we can all get to the point where in all sports where finishing or losing in the national championship game or match is a disappointment.
Yeah.
You know, when we get there, then in everything, then I think we're where we all want to be. It may never happen.
So a bounce back season year, the bottom of that, because we all know what the top is. The top is it includes a national championship in one of the big 3 sports. That's the top, right?
Yeah.
But what's the bottom of, all right, because to me it's a bounce back year in baseball would be the postseason, correct?
Yes.
Just the postseason? Or do you have to get to Super Regional? I feel like just the postseason is a bounce back year.
I mean, this is Texas A&M baseball. I would think.
So you got to get to the Super Regional.
Yeah, in my mind.
Okay. And then football, you got to win one more game than last year.
Yes.
That's like, hey, it still feels like you're on the right path. If you go 7-5, even if it's a harder schedule, right? It's not a bounce back year. If you go 8-4, it's not a bounce back year.
Yeah, you're doing the same.
You're doing the same. So to me, the bare minimum is a game better, and then everything after that trickles. If you go 10-2 in football,
bounce back.
Not only is it bounce back,
and you're in a playoff.
Baseball can just make the regional, and it's a bounce back year for Aggie athletics.
Hey, what if we see the football team make the playoff and the basketball team get into the NCAA tournament and win, which would be amazing, and the baseball team get to Omaha?
Stop, buddy.
And the softball team.
Dude, it's getting hot in here. I'm like...
And that's how, I think that should be the legitimate aspirations for everything.
Well, now, I think it is the aspirations for everything.
Yeah, but
the reality isn't it. Yeah.
I said the legitimate.
But you don't think it's legitimate?
I mean, Clark Lee opened his first Vanderbilt news conference saying we're going to be the best football program in the country. And you're like,
yeah, buddy.
Yeah, that's nice.
But
hey, you beat Alabama.
That was good.
But you're not going to be the best football program in the country. It's just not happening.
But 10-2 is a. You can make it. You do
was
not
a
have to be
possibility.
maroon cool. You could be a Texas fan and make an argument for A&M to go 10-2 this year.
Yeah.
A believable.
They won't, but yeah.
Right. I don't believe at this moment that they're that team because of all the questions, right? You have, when you have a lot of questions to answer, that's a lot of questions to get yeses on, right?
Yes, yes.
Right? And they have a lot of questions. Although every question that we have about them, I can make an argument of why they will be better.
Yes, that's
Marcel
true.
Reed will be better. The running back room will be
outstanding.
better. The wide receivers, I think, will be better. The defensive line, I don't know. The defensive backs, I can make an argument why they'll be better.
It'll be a lot worse.
The linebackers will be as good or better.
Hopefully. Hopefully better.
The defense will be better because I believe in Mike Elko.
Well, that is the biggest reason for optimism in my opinion. No offense to Bateman, but look, Mike Elko is an elite defensive coordinator.
He is an elite defensive player. And I bring all this topic up about where what would define a bounce back season before I saw this tweet this morning.
Okay.
If Luke Evangelist is paying attention, maybe he can post that tweet of the top most miserable fan bases
Yeah, I saw that.
in sports. And if you look at 3 out of the top 4, you've got the Dallas Mavericks at number 1, which maybe just for 2025, maybe. The Dallas Cowboys at number 2. Are they really the most miserable fan base?
Yeah, but pretty miserable right now.
And Texas A&M number 4.
Yeah, that's why I'm miserable pretty much my whole life.
Now, it says the criteria here. Colleges are football only except for Gonzaga. Your adaptation to losing. Team rank lower as fans grow accustomed to losing. Fan expectations. High expectations unmet. Okay, so far I'm seeing the A&M on this.
Okay.
Rival dominance. Success of the rival while their own team isn't good.
Well,
baseball wasn't good.
we weren't playing Texas until this year. And
I think
so
it's based on 25 or 24.
Okay, all right. I was going to say, so then, well, because we consider LSU a rival as well.
Yeah.
And that's going pretty well.
That's going very well. Records in playoff disappointments. Well, no playoffs for football, no playoffs in baseball. Basketball, second round disappointment.
Yeah. Of course, historically in the playoffs.
And I'm like, maybe it explains it deeper in the tweet. How do you quantify that?
You know what?
It's just a list to get.
Just freaking go out and win, and don't lose games you should, and win a couple of those tough games, and you get off the list.
So to sum up where we are, at least on what would be considered a bounce back season for Texas A&M sports, we both agree it starts with football.
Yes, it always does.
And if football does bad, there's not a lot that can happen in the other sports that would make you feel better, other than like you winning the College World Series, right? Like football does bad, but A&M basketball gets to the Sweet 16, and A&M baseball gets to the College World Series and maybe even wins it. Of course, that would be a bounce back year, but we still be looking at football.
Yeah, we're always that. But I will say this, there were some bad football seasons, and everybody felt better when Billy Gillespie was here, and they had some of those teams that were championship caliber.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got that. You got first football, then you got the next tier, which is baseball, basketball. I believe and some folks would say baseball more important. Some would say basketball. I know A&M's more of a baseball school. I love the success of all of our programs.
Winning everything.
And then the rest, I'm not going to tier them, but then that makes the case for just like, look what we did here. Look, you can't say, look what we did here unless you have success in those 3.
Yeah, well.
You can, but it doesn't have the same weight.
There's no doubt that more emphasis is put on the big 3 sports plus women's basketball.
Yeah.
But, and I know you'll agree with, we're still thrilled with what volleyball did. And
absolutely.
Softball up until the end.
Yeah.
And of course, women's tennis. We want to support them all.
Yep.
But yeah, the ones that get the most attention, obviously, football, men's basketball, and baseball.
Let's play some trivia real quick.
Let's do.
What's the name of the show?
I've been gone for a while. You mean
the
like
entire
TexAgs
enterprise?
Live? Like TexAgs Live?
Yeah, presented by who?
David Gardner's Jewelers.
In the what?
The Rollo Insurance Studio.
This hour has a name?
The Go Hour.
Presented?
CC Creations.
Okay. And we are currently sitting at the
Cool Zone.
The Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
The Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can call us up. I don't know if we can take it, honestly, but it's at 979-693-1150. What hotline is that? Got him.
Yeah,
Bumpy's Catering Hotline.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to give the phone number.
Yeah, give the number now, too.
I don't know that.
I just gave
but
it.
I know Buppy's.
979.
I've eaten Buppy's work.
693. 1150.
1150. That's right.
Let's go around the room, left to right. And Luke Evangelist, day 3? Is that right? Day 3 of being the director producer? Am I right about that, Luke?
Yeah, day 3 in a row.
All right, so explain to me. You say you went to the Buckyball tryouts, but there's no video or physical evidence of you being there. But you're saying you went.
Yeah, I was there, David.
Can anybody back this claim up?
Yes, actually, if you'll just look right behind you, you will see that I was there, and that is from Bucky McMillan's Twitter.
Oh, he is there. You're not dressed out the hoop.
He posted that picture on his social media. From the walk-on tryouts, and I'm there. And if you maybe need to zoom in a little bit, I'm not the only TexAgs person there. If you'll look ahead to the screen, Matthew Dawson was at the tryouts as well, and he was the ball.
Look, let me look for Dawson. He's got to be down here.
Not that one in front of you. David, the main screen. There's Matthew Dawson as the ball.
There he is.
Everyone watching on YouTube can see he was a great trying out as the ball. But
wait, that ball's too tall.
There I am with Coach Bucky McMillan.
I got a question for you.
Tryouts.
A couple questions for you. Is that how you hoop? You wear a sweater and long pants and joggers to try out for basketball?
Well, I'm ready in any condition, as you know. I can hoop in shorts. I can hoop at the beach.
You look like a PE coach, not like a basketball player.
David, I could still cross you up, PE coach or not.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not going to get into it. I mean, the guy's a poser.
Here we go.
He's fake. He's not a real man. A real man lives up to his end of the bargain. I'm sorry.
What do you mean? I was there. I just gave you photographic evidence that I was at tryouts.
But were you trying out? That's the question.
I was trying out for a walk-on spot for the basketball team.
But did you shoot a bucket?
In a sweater.
You can ask Bucky. You can call him up. I was 8 for 8 from 3. That video clip that he posted of everyone diving on the floor. I'm number 2 in green. You can look at the mustache. It's an identifiable feature.
I'm calling BS on 8 for 8. I'm calling BS on that.
I'm calling BS for doing anything. Nobody wears, first off, it's not 40 degrees outside. Why are you wearing like what my mom wears to the mall?
It doesn't matter about the outfit. It is about the heart of a champion that is within.
God, you are living up to this Golden Girls persona. Estelle Getty evangelist.
Estelle Getty some buckets.
You know what makes it better?
Yeah, there's a lot of fill the bucket full of stuff this morning.
Do you like when people laugh at their own joke louder than everybody else? Because that's what I heard.
I do it all the time.
Oh, yeah, this is true. I'm sure our audience is captivated by this discussion about the fake poser Luke Evangelist. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Ava Davis is all about the real buckets.
Hey,
what up?
How are y'all?
Why did we talk like that? I followed you.
How are y'all?
Good.
Yeah, it's a day.
That's okay. Well, I have some baseball news for y'all.
Okay.
3 of Texas A&M's baseball athletes were named to the 2025 American Baseball Coaches Association's Rawlings NCAA Division I Central All-Region teams.
That's a long name.
It is a long name, sorry.
Okay.
Holy smokes.
So 3 were all-region.
Yes. Third baseman Wyatt Hensler was named to the first team, while left-hander Justin Lampkin and Jay Slavilet were named to the second team. This marks the 4th straight season that the Aggies had multiple players earn the ABCA Rawlings Central All Honors.
Okay. Well, you would think with that they might have, had a better year.
Well, and in the next segment, by the way, we're going to talk a little bit about Jace because he's kind of tipped his cap to the Aggie fans. Anything else, Ava?
Yes, women's tennis. The Intercollegiate Tennis Association announced yesterday that Texas A&M's Mary Stoyana earned 2 Texas Regional Awards. She claimed Texas Regional's accolades for the Arthur Ashe Leadership Award, and Sportsman Award, as well as the ITA Senior Player of the Year. The Ashe Award is presented to student athletes who have exhibited outstanding sportsmanship and leadership, as well as extracurricular and tennis achievements.
Thank you very much, Ava. OB, I'm going to be honest with you. I told you I missed you on the show. You know where it was felt the most?
When you were thinking about lunch.
Yeah, but you know why?
Why?
because there was two different styles in studio when I talked 1775. There was Richard, just very appreciative of the meal. There was Bronny trying to do, Olin loves to eat beef. That didn't sound like him. But he was trying to be you, and there's only one you, because you love beef.
I do love beef.
You love meat.
I love meat of all kinds.
But especially...
especially 1775 succulent brisket. Or even that jalapeno cheese sausage.
That's really good, too.
That's really good. Or, I'm a pork ribs guy. But I also like that turkey.
The turkey's good, too. Yeah.
And I'm not a pulled pork guy, but my wife likes it, and she says it's really good.
But you're an everything guy. You're a sampler.
Yeah, I pretty much am a sampler. And I got to sample that queso mac and cheese when I go out there, too.
They're open Thursday through Saturday. We're talking about 1775, of course, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Call them up, 979-692-4241. Excuse me, 979-492-6241, or visit them at 1775txbbq.com.
Sample it.
Welcome back in. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Jace Laviolette posted a farewell video Tuesday on X, and he didn't necessarily say he's going in the MLB draft, but that's certainly alluded to. I never expected Texas A&M to impact me as much as it did. And what else did he have to say? From the moment I stepped on campus, it was like I was engulfed in a family full of people who loved and cared about me and wanted me to succeed at my fullest potential. And I can't put it into words what it meant to play in front of the 12th man every single day, to come and just enjoy life in front of you all and get to show you my personality, not only on the field, but off the field, and get to connect with so many people. Dude, that guy, especially, we had some better moments in his career. Obviously, his sophomore year was phenomenal. This year, the team overall and his numbers weren't, but how he toughed it out in the SEC tournament to me was just the epitome of what it takes to be great and loved in this community. Yes, your stats matter, but loving this university and showing that you love it, I think, carries a lot of weight.
I agree. He had a lot of home runs. He set records. He was part of big wins. But the thing I think that I will respect most is, when he came in and played hurt and played well.
Played well, yeah.
Trying to do everything he could to get that A&M team into the playoffs. So that, to me, stands out as much, if not more than anything else.
All-time leader in A&M history for home runs and walks, ranks among the best in a lot of other categories, including RBIs. I think he's third there. Fifth in runs. He is fourth in total bases. And his freshman year, he broke the freshman record, which later Gavin Krahovic broke for home runs in a season.
Yeah, phenomenal career. Was a part of a lot of great success, and wish him the best. Hopefully he's a first-round draft choice and has a magnificent career and becomes a filthy rich young man.
The year that they went to the College World Series final and they had a chance to beat Tennessee, he hit 305.
Did he lead off that game with a home run?
Yeah, 29 homers, 78 RBIs, 16 doubles, 3 triples, 64 walks.
I guess he wouldn't have let off, but I thought he had an early home run. Yeah, look, again, that had to be his best season, right? I mean, just a phenomenal career. But like you said, I mean, you can look at all the numbers, and the numbers are great, and he inspired the Rattling Bog more times than you can count. Well, actually, you can't count them; they count them, but
right.
You know what I mean. But to go out there when you're hurt, and I don't know how many guys say, well, I'm not feeling right. I'm hurt, and I don't want to make anything worse because I got the draft coming up, and we're not going anywhere anyway. And to come out and play, and again, and to perform the way he did, hurt like that, and just did everything he could to try to, help A&M. Maybe A&M gets into the playoff if they win that game against LSU. You would have won 3 out of 4 against LSU if you won that game. They almost did. So that impresses me more than anything. It's just that kind of heart. That's the real heart, not the heart that Evangelist was talking about.
Super likable, approachable superstar, and he's going to do big things at the next level. All right, we'll hit a break. When we come back, we talked about beef already, right?
Yeah.
When we come back, I want to talk more beef, but a different type of beef. Okay. Yeah? Because I know you like beefs.
Yeah. You got beef with somebody? Is that what we're going to talk about?
I mean, I have this reputation in my life. I have not had an issue with somebody in a long time.
Yeah.
Technically, I had one last week.
Okay.
But
that's a long time for you.
Yeah, but I mean, other than last week, I haven't had a beef months, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I don't think I've had one. But we're going to talk about other beefs. Okay. Sports beefs.
All right. Sports
on the other
beefs.
side. Milliken Reserve, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and they have a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They've done so by treading lightly on that beautiful land that you can find Milliken Reserve on. They're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community, respect for that native landscape, and they have 2,600 acres of open space, 30 miles of trails, and homes. They want to connect families to nature and to each other through that extensive network of trails throughout a wooded landscape. When you go there, you're going to have a blast being outdoors. You don't even have to live there. They just have so much to do if you're in the area, just to go hang out and connect with your family. Go hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking, They've got equestrian trails there. They've got music festivals, summer camps, farmer markets, farm tours, you name it. An awesome place, and the neighborhoods are fantastic as well. The website is millikenreserve.com. That website is millikenreserve.com.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Lucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Lucci sent you by.
And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, this is not going to become political, but because of some of the political beef that I saw last week, I thought, let's do a little sports beef, okay? Like some of the most monumental and memorable beefs in sports, okay? And do you want to give me one to start off, or do you want me to start just giving them to you?
One that comes right to mind immediately would be the Temple basketball coach,
John Chaney.
John Chaney, and when
Calipari.
Coach Calipari was at Massachusetts. I mean, how often do you see a coach storm into another coach's press conference and threaten to kill him?
Yeah.
So that's probably number one on my list.
That's a great one. I'm going to keep it in the collegiate ranks. Something very recent, OB.
Jimbo Fisher.
And Nick Saban.
The difference is Jimbo talked a big talk and then backed off, you know. And, I mean, if you're going to – because first he's saying, hey, I like the arguments or whatever, and this guy, look at what he did. And so, what did he do? You were there. Well, that's your job to find out. I mean, if you're going to make that statement, have the cojones to back it up. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, they're at SEC spring meetings, and
they're buds.
They're buds.
They're high-fiving.
Also, Jimbo and Lane Kiffin. They had their issues.
Did they, though?
Well, I mean, they appeared to.
He called him a clown. That was about it, right?
And then Kiffin was always firing back at him.
Yeah.
But then I'd see him like at the 50-yard line before the game,
buddies.
ducking it up.
I'll give you another one.
Okay.
One that will affect you deeply or greatly.
Oh, my.
Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Broke up what could have been an even better dynasty.
They would have won.
At least two more, right?
I think they would have won at least 4 in a row. Because Switzer just, when they lost the championship game in 95, I think it was, to the 49ers, it was one of the worst coach games I ever saw. So, I mean, 2 massive egos. Look, if you got it's a shame that that Jerry Jones couldn't have said, hey, as an owner, I hired this guy.
Yep.
And that makes me a great owner. And all he's done by wanting to prove that he was the architect, he was the brains behind the Cowboys' success, was all he's done is A, tarnish his own legacy, but B, prove that it was Jimmy Johnson that was the brains behind it.
Well, in a lot of these, ego is going to be a big part of most of these beefs.
Oh, yeah.
And they just made me think of another one, not to the same level, but Jerry Reinsdorf and Michael Jordan. Because...
Well, how about him and Scottie Pippen?
And Scottie Pippen as well. And that's, you're talking about Michael and Scottie right now?
Well, no, I was talking about Scott. The guy wouldn't renegotiate Scottie Pippen's contract.
But to me, Jerry Reinsdorf broke up a dynasty because he was not going to bring back Phil Jackson, and Michael's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
6 out of 8 years winning the NBA championship.
You do whatever you can to keep it going.
Another one with MJ.
Okay.
MJ and Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
Because Michael Jordan kept Isaiah from the Dream Team because of how much he disliked them.
Well, because it started with Isaiah Thomas at the All-Star game telling everybody, don't pass Michael Jordan the ball. He tried to get all. He was a devious little punk.
Yeah. Now, I do think Isaiah should have been on that Dream Team, but hey, Michael doesn't want you. You don't come.
Yeah. Don't be a backstabbing, ghoul.
I love Michael. There's some things about Michael I don't love. Obvious, like for instance, he and Charles Barkley used to be best friends. They don't talk anymore because Charles was critical of him as an owner when he was the owner of the Charlotte Bobcats / Hornets.
Yeah, that's too bad. But oh well.
Here's one that got a little physical.
Oh, okay.
Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding. You were definitely on Tanya Harding's team on this, right?
No,
I'm kidding.
No, I don't want anybody getting hurt. Even though I probably grew up around 100 Tanya Hardings. That was that was crazy. That was. But to Tanya Harding's defense.
Defense? There's no defense.
Well, except that there's this her part of the story is she didn't know. She wasn't in on it. And that may be true.
Jeff Galooly? That's what it was.
Jeff Galooly, yeah, that may be true.
Do you even, Ava, do you have any clue what we're talking about?
Go see the movie I, Tonya. With,
I haven't seen that movie. So,
Margot Robbie.
Oh, okay. No. Nancy Kerrigan, figure skater. Tonya Harding, figure skater. Okay. Tonya Harding had some bullies, basically.
Her ex-husband.
Her ex-husband and some like...
And a goon.
A goon hurt her. Was it the World Championships or something, right?
They're about to do something like Olympic trials.
Didn't they break her ankle or something? Or they kicked her?
They hit her in the knee with a bat.
Right before, yeah.
To get rid of the competition.
You know, OB and I watch all the figure skating anyway, so this is on beat.
That's the only time I really got interested in figure skating.
That's the only time I ever...
Wait, when was that?
1990...
80-something, was it?
I think it was in the 90s. I think it was early 90s. Fact check me on that, okay?
Okay.
Nancy Kerrigan.
Nancy Kerrigan.
Tonya Harding.
Okay.
Nancy's holding her knee going, why? Because Tonya wants that spot on the team. That was awful.
Here's one that wasn't necessarily physical. It wasn't physical, but it was awkward. And I think they've become friends since. And it was really more Brett Favre versus Aaron Rodgers. Okay?
Yeah.
It was really more Brett Favre versus the Packers. But because of the Packers' drafting of Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre basically said it was not his role to mentor a quarterback, which Aaron Rodgers years later mimicked.
Yeah, he's done the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, it's one thing when you're near the end of your career, you know, and you know it, and they bring in somebody, but when you bring in somebody to take their job, you know, I mean, people today, they get in this position where I hate this, and companies should be somehow penalized for it, but they'll, hey, you're making too much money, David, so we want to bring in somebody, but we want you to train him. So we're going to pay you. You can work 3 more months to train your replacement, and that's kind of and that's BS. So that's kind of what was going on with the Favre Aaron Rodgers thing.
Yeah, Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah, that's a good
broke up a dynasty.
Yeah,
because of ego. By the way, they later became super tight. At the time, I was on Team Shaq. Kobe had the behind-the-scenes thing that, you know, plagued him, and that was a major, major reason that I didn't like him. But also, I was like, who's this young punk trying to tell Shaq? But after realizing Kobe's discipline and the way he, like, I now appreciate Kobe so, not because of death, this was before, because of the way he went about his work.
Here's what Kobe did. You talk about, there's one that we could bring up that's just very recent that had to go into damage control. But what the advisors for Kobe, I think, did was, first of all, you know, don't get any more trouble. But secondly, go play on the Olympic team.
Yep.
And represent America and be on your best behavior. And people loved him for that. Whereas, you know, there's a certain gymnast out there who's team's trying to do damage control right now. So that's kind of a beef that between Simone Biles and Riley. What's her name? Riley.
Riley Gaines.
I want to say Leonard up there.
Riley Leonard, Notre Dame's quarterback.
I'm too much in football.
But the whole Kobe and Shaq thing, years later, I was more on Team Kobe because of what I had heard about. What the history will say was that Shaq didn't treat.
I think there's a book out about that now.
Oh, I might have to read that one.
Cedric Golden was telling me about it.
Okay.
It says that Kobe said some things about Shaq, and Shaq came to that practice. You know, they do in.
They fought.
He says, "Well, I don't think it was much of a fight."
He punched him in the face or something.
I think it was like one hit and it was over. Which I can believe that. Shaq. I once interviewed Shaq, right?
Yeah.
When he was in high school, it was like, of course, it was like this. I say, what did that guy say to you before the game? He says, "You don't intimidate me." And so, okay, well, what'd you say? Said, "You're already intimidated." I am too. So.
I've interviewed Shaq. Very nice. Always very easy.
I love that guy. The things he does, the benevolence, and the things he does for people.
He's great.
Without even being, without looking for it, and then people tell the story about all the.
It's interesting. Like, I don't think of him as the core group of inside the NBA, but he's been part of that core for over 10 years. And to me, he's like the newbie.
If he just was easier to understand, because again,
he does mumble a bit. Let's do a couple more before we hit a break. You're going to love this one.
Okay.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
You know,
that's real recent.
You know, look, Angel Reese got the ring, and she was on a better team, but she's not the better player.
Yeah.
But one thing I had an issue with was that when Angel Reese was taunting her at LSU, right, when they were playing, and people got so upset about it. I said, well, now, wait a minute. Were you mad when Caitlin Clark was the one that started all that, you know? And she did it at other teams, and nobody cared. So when they did it back to her, it was a terrible thing. No, you know, I mean, if you're gonna dish it out, take it, right? That said, once they've gotten to the WNBA, it's not even the jealousy of Angel Reese is historic.
Did you look up the year?
Yes,
94.
God, I'm so good at my game. All right, Latrell Sprewell, PJ Carlesimo.
Yeah. Well, who hasn't wanted to choke their coach at some point?
He actually choked his coach. Yeah, Latrell Sprewell. Yeah,
choked his coach.
I didn't add this because it's not necessarily a sports beef in the traditional. It's the Palace.
You did your homework on all this.
I did, dude. I'm a researcher.
Yeah.
The malice at the Palace. Yeah.
With Ron Artest.
One of my favorites. Does that surprise you?
No. But you know what? I remember watching
Ben Wallace. One of my favorites.
Oh, I thought you were talking.
I like their personalities.
When they got into but here's what I always, if you'll go back and watch that whole melee.
Yeah.
All right, this one guy who's just a fan, and he gets punched, and from this world-class athlete, and you know what he does? He takes a step back and says, "Oh, okay," and he's just a fan, and he looks like he's about 5'9".
Yeah.
And he's like,
he looks like Turtle from Entourage.
He took the punch.
He did.
And he said, "Oh, okay," and he comes back, and I'm thinking, that's Detroit.
That is Detroit.
That's Detroit.
Yeah.
I don't care how big you are. You punched me. That's why Dan Campbell's going to win a Super Bowl.
I covered Ron for a year. Was so awesome to cover. Was very accommodating. Obviously very weird. He's got some demons he deals with, but he could play some defense, man. And Ben Wallace, oh my God, some great tempers.
And of all the people he was mad at, he goes in and he picks out the smallest guy.
In the stands?
Yeah.
The guy who threw the thing at him.
Does he know
No,
that?
he doesn't know.
The guy looks like he's 12. That's I'm going to go beat up somebody. I'm going to go get Matthew Dawson.
I got some more on the other side. Yeah. Matthew Dawson, I think, could fight. If Matthew Dawson and Luke fought right now, I'm
taking
over.
Dawson all day.
It would be...
Prepare to lose your entire retirement fund betting on Matthew
If
Dawson.
Ava and Jess were fighting Luke, and I'm not talking about it at the same time, I'm taking both of them.
Yeah, I don't think Luke could handle a punch. Definitely not from Matthew Dawson.
No.
That's a fact.
It's just that the punch is going to come like in the...
Oh, he's texting somebody or tweeting.
Get hit in like the lower thigh if it's from Matthew Dawson.
Let's hit a break here. I got a couple more I want to go through before we let you go, all right?
All right.
Moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 and Caldwell online. I say it fast, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. When you're looking for a selection that's not going to break the bank, you need to check out Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They've got all the vehicles you need, and they've got the new inventory. They've got some pre-owns. They've got it all. When you go there, you're going to love the selection. You're going to love the pricing, and, of course, that trade-in value and the world-famous customer service that comes with complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. And also, they've got free oil changes for life on the life of your purchase as long as you own that vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Locally owned, Aggie alumni ready team to help you out with your entire process when you're trying to purchase the right vehicle for you and your family. It's not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes. The edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and you do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell online. CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. All right, we got about 2 minutes left. Let me do a couple more, okay?
Okay.
How about, we're talking sports beefs. This one could have led the list. Brady Belichick.
Was that really?
Brady left. He hated it. He wanted out. Yeah, that's a breakup.
Yeah, but how much of a beef can you have when you have like 5 Super Bowls together?
Could have had more. Brady won another one. Yeah. Literally the year he left.
I know. The
So
Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah, I guess you don't like mine.
Not that one. I'm not as.
T.O. Donovan McNabb.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. But T.O. just about anywhere he went. He was just a lightning rod.
Yeah.
Remember what he said about his quarterback in San Francisco?
Steve Young? Or no, Jeff Garcia. Oh, yeah. I do remember that one.
Smells like a rat. Looks like a rat. By God, it must be a rat.
Here's another one for you. This happened actually in the ring. Evander, Mike Tyson. That was a beef. You bite somebody's ear off, it's a beef.
Yeah, especially if it was a cow's ear. Because then it would, be a beefier.
Beefier. How about this one you do not care about at all?
You ever bit a cow's ear?
Never. Not while they were alive.
I've known people that eat pig's ears. I'm from East Texas.
Yeah, that's what you guys do. I don't know. I just say that.
Ava's from West Texas. She probably knows somebody that's dying on a pig's ear.
How about this one? Conor McGregor and Khabib. You don't even know who those guys are already, do you? They got into a fight.
Speaking of beef, I might like kebabs.
Conor threw chairs at his bus. It was a melee before the fight. It was a melee after the fight. During the fight, it was like people ran into the cage and started hitting Conor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Conor threw stuff at the tour bus, whatever you call it. That was a great one. Let's see. Any other ones? I think that might be it for my list.
Yeah.
I miss anything?
A lot of good beefs.
God, who doesn't love a good beef?
I do. I love some good beef.
Yeah.
I love it so much I need to go on a diet.
You can go carnivore and lose weight because you take away part of your macronutrient. Never mind. Thank you, Obi.
Yep.
Appreciate you. When we come back, we'll have John Harris on the show. We might ask him about beefs because he saw one and I saw it with him. Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson.
Oh, that was a good one.
That was a good one. Ask him about that. It's TexAgs Live. I'm shocked at how this generation does not know stuff from things that happened before they were born. For instance, The Honeymooners was a show in the 50s, I think it was. I was very aware of them. I was born in the 70s. Okay? I'm very aware of people that happened. She didn't know who Sylvester Stallone was, and that just caught me off guard, Ava. I love you. You're my dog. We're family. We're TexAgs fam. But how you didn't know who Sylvester Stallone was will always hurt. You're not the only one, by the way, who's worked here. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. A gentleman who's like Rocky, John Harris, joining us here on the Buppy's Catering Hotline. Johnny, good morning, buddy.
I am fascinated by what younger people know and don't know. The flip side is the younger people are fascinated by people that we don't know. Like, you don't know Alex Earl? Like, no. Oh my God, she has millions of followers. Like, okay, she's a TikTok star. Like that came up the other day. Like, how different our worlds are. I saw this written in a headline, and I'd said to my wife the other day, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. TikTok star, where back in the day used to be Sylvester Stallone movie star. Now we've got TikTok star, Instagram model, like all these things that are just sort of, I guess, organically grown, that are just kind of interesting to me as a 53-year-old.
John, you want to sound old? You remember the movie Dirty Dancing?
I do.
Okay.
Jennifer Grey.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That movie was about 1963. Came out in 1987.
That's right.
Okay. 24 years.
That's right.
I remember when that movie came out, I felt like, man, that was a long time ago. 24 years ago was 2001. That's the difference. When we saw it, it was only 24 years. It felt like a generation. And 2001 felt like yesterday.
That's exactly right. And I don't even know how, like, it's depressing in some sense to think about it that way. When I think about my generation, Generation X, it's, been interesting. You got to follow on social media, Gen Zers and millennials kind of look at Gen X like it's a weird generation. Well, yeah, we went to high school with no internet, went through college with no internet. I didn't learn about the internet till I was 2 years into teaching. My God, how did you work on a research paper? We went to the library, we went and got an encyclopedia. We went and got other books. We didn't ask Chat GPT, why did the SS Hyundai dive into the Atlantic Ocean in 1943? Like, in Chat GPT set something out like, oh, okay, there we go. And we had to actually go research it. So we are a hardened generation, Generation X. And there are a lot of Aggies out there agreeing with me right now. Like, yeah, John, yeah.
Johnny, we did this segment on the best sports beefs in the last segment. And, Brady Belichick, Kobe Shaq, MJ versus everybody, Isaiah, Jerry Reinsdorf. We did a bunch of these. Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding. But as I was leaving the last segment, I wanted to bring up one that you saw, that I saw pretty close to you, on the field. Andre Johnson and Cortland Finnegan. You remember that beef? Because it wasn't just that day, but that day it's where it all kind of became. They even had a war of words afterward. It was like ridiculous. I think Cortland even tweeted about it once.
I'm sure he did. I've talked to Dre about it. It was 2010, so I was still a few years from getting on the sidelines. But we've talked to Dre about this often. And it's funny because, like Nolan Ryan doesn't like to talk about when he beat the hell out of, I said Jesse Ventura, Robin Ventura. He doesn't like to really talk about that all that much. Dre doesn't love to talk about the Cortland Finnegan thing, but when he gets going on the topic and on the subject, it's kind of funny to listen to because he's got all the details. And it's one of those things where, the quietest people that end up being, in some cases, the most dangerous because they're locking away. They're clocking all that information and they're just letting it's just sitting in the brain and stewing. And that was what happened with Dre. It had been sitting and stewing for a while. And Cortland Finnegan hit that last nerve and it was like, bam, that was it. Ball game. And Andre Johnson from Miami is not a guy you would trifle with, but yeah, that was a feud for a while, a lot longer than just the fisticuffs that happened when Finnegan turtled on the field. It went back. They had gone at each other a little bit, and Finnegan just did little things, like a little brother to a big brother. I didn't have any brothers to mess with, but I saw plenty of my friends that had brothers. And man, just to see how they would mess with one another, it was crazy. And it was kind of like that, except they weren't brothers. They did not like each other. But Finnegan would just tweak and finally Dre just snapped. Dre's like, I'm waiting for this last one. And Finnegan hit Dre in a face mask, trying to press him. And Dre's like, that's it, we're going. And then just started. There was that famous shot of him standing over Finnegan, looking like Muhammad Ali, like with his fist cocked, like ready to go. It's always funny talking to Dre about that. He kind of chuckles about it now, but it left the stain with Finnegan. Like, I can't remember if he has said he's seen Finnegan after. It's only been like once or twice if he has, and Finnegan won't talk to him or say anything to him. Like, you asked for it and you got it, chump. And you got the hell beat out of you. So yeah, that's definitely one. Did you have the Brock Osweiler, Bill O'Brien feud?
I didn't have
that one.
I didn't have that one, or Bill O'Brien against any human that lived in Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a thing.
Bill O'Brien and fans in Houston. You suck too, mother bleeper. There's that. So
what did he say to Brian T. Smith? AFC South champs.
South champs, Brian. AFC South champs. Which, at the time I was kind of like, Brian T was, I don't know, he was the voice of the fan in some way, but it was like, we just won the AFC South championship. It didn't look pretty, but we won it. Like, if you want to ask your but question, just wait till the next day.
Yeah.
Wait till Monday, wait till Tuesday. I always thought Brian was wrong in that. So I was a little glad that Bill reacted the way that he did, but man, Bill had feuds with everybody. Including yours truly.
That I know, and you've known him a long, long time. Hey, I'm going to do one more of these beefs that I think I'm going to lose our entire audience, but it just makes me chuckle. Sergio Ramos, soccer one. I don't know. Liverpool played the championship in 2018, I think it was. And basically, Ramos, of all time, sprained Salah's shoulder. And like it was bad. Right? And, I love him for it. And they ended up winning the championship. And at the award ceremony months later, Ramos gets, and as he gets up to accept the award, he taps Mo on the shoulder that he sprained to win the championship. The ultimate troll move. But I know I just lost half our audience. House settlement.
That's a good one. That actually is a great one. And you know me, I'm a football guy, but I've got into soccer in the last 8 to 10 years, and that's good. That's really, really good. Of all the ones we talked about, that's maybe one of the best.
Yeah, it was an ultimate troll job. Let's talk house settlement. Do you think we're moving in the right direction? I mean, it sounds like such an obvious question, but I've heard different sides, right? I've heard it's the right direction, but I don't mean jack. Or no, there's still this issue, and this issue. This is just going to create more issues.
Yeah, I'm a little perplexed in a sense, David. I guess I'm a little, I don't say removed from it, but in a sense, I'm kind of removed from it. Like, I don't know kind of the ins and outs. I know some of the high level things as far as, roster sizes and, the salary caps. And it makes it a little bit, unclear, like, how does each university get to set its own percentage for how they're going to dole out that money? That gets to be kind of interesting because there are probably going to be some schools that are like, well, we're gonna not equally, but we're gonna base it on, I don't know, the funds that they've brought into the athletic department over the years, and some schools might be like, screw it, it's all going to football. So I'm curious to see how that goes. The other part of this too becomes, the NIL deal part of it. Like, okay, anything over $600 has got to be reported or whatever the case might be. Well, what if you gave somebody, $100, $500 NIL contracts or whatever it might be? Like, none of those have to be reported to the clearinghouse. Like, I feel like there are still sort of questions in how all of it goes on. I actually thought something was really interesting that I can't remember where I read this. Might have been, FOS, Front Office Sports. It might have been there. I can't remember, but it was somebody who had come up with a plan for a 72 team or 72 university, 6 conferences of 12 teams, I think it was. or maybe it was 12-6. Either way, they had this really seemingly nice plan about having these 72 teams, basically like a bigger NFL in a sense, but because the conferences would end up being geographically driven, you could bring back the rivalries and you could have some of that. And then you could have, symmetry with 72 teams, 6 in, each conference or whatever it is, or 12 in each conference. You could bring back the rivalries. You could have some of that. You could then set the limits. You could have CBA limits on what each team could pay, all that kind of stuff. He came back after the settlement and he said, that'll never work. And he essentially kind of pointed the finger at the SEC. Now, not in a bad way, but he just said, I don't think the SEC or states in the South are going to allow collective bargaining. And that could end up being a real major sticking point. But the other areas of the country would be more apt to have a collective bargaining agreement for its athletes, its laborers, so to speak, but said the South is different politically, and that would end up being a major issue and a major sticking point to what he had talked about. So I'm curious, and I know people don't like politics and sports mixing, but I do think in this situation that politics could end up playing a role in how they move forward. So that's going to be kind of dicey. So I feel like it's the start of something. But then again, when they went to NIL, and I remember that happening July 1st, 2021, I believe. And I just remember waking up at whatever time, 7:00 that morning, and Spencer Rattler spitting out logos. Hey, hey, go here, buy Spencer Rattler t-shirts. And he wasn't the only one, but it was just one of the first ones. I thought, okay, yeah, I think this is going in the right direction. And then within months, you hear about Nico Iamaleava taking a $5 million deal or $8 million or whatever it was to go to Tennessee. And I'm like, I don't think that's what they wanted NIL to be. And then NIL went in a whole different direction than the powers that be thought it was going to be. So now I look at this deal and I was like, okay, on the surface, it may look like this, but I got a feeling that there are going to be some enterprising schools and places that are going to be, well, yeah, we're going to do it like this, but we've also got this that goes along with it. And it's something that the settlement didn't even touch on. So I feel like on the surface, it's a step in the right direction. The question being, is it a big step over, a pond, or is it a small step, a small 6-inch step like you're boxing? Is it a big step? Is it a tiny, tiny step? It's a step, but I'm not totally sure. I just don't know that we fully have our arms wrapped around how the entire width and breadth of colleges want this thing done. And I think, I can't remember the author. I wish I did. But I felt like that author really kind of pointed out a really interesting difference between the South, obviously with SEC resides, and everybody else in the country, and how the politics could definitely play a role. And that's when I step out of it. I'm like, politics, whatever. I don't want anybody to ever know my religion or my politics, but it's just that it's probably going to play a role. And at that point, and I've heard this a lot, and I agree with this, you want to tell rich people what to do with their money? Lawsuit.
Talking to John Harris here on TexAgs Live. Johnny, I don't know if you saw Myles Garrett's comment. They asked him about Aaron Rodgers joining the Steelers, and Myles is like, good opportunity to put him in the graveyard. Some people were like, what does he mean? He's got a Halloween graveyard of the jerseys of all the quarterbacks that he sacks. What do you think about, not the comments, but just Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers?
It's funny. I was driving in this morning, and I got a text from our buddy Seth Payne, and he pointed out something, and I think this is when we went out to play the Jets. We played them on Thursday night last year up in New Jersey, and we had been on a decent roll, and so, but we had just lost Stephon Diggs, and we had played a short week. We had traveling to New York on a Wednesday evening, early evening, trying to fight traffic. You go through all that when you play the Jets. But at least we knew, okay, we're playing the Jets. Not that good. Rodgers hasn't been great. And David, I'm telling you, we hit him with shots. And it's a 40-year-old. And I mean, we're hitting him like our defensive line is just waylaying him. And he's still throwing dimes. Like the ball's still coming out fast. It's still coming out hot. And this was just 1 year removed from the Achilles. So I think in Pittsburgh, he's in a better situation. Just all told, defense, it's kind of, the teams are kind of built similarly, but I just think Pittsburgh, he's got a little bit more talent. I still think that Aaron Rodgers has got a little bit left in the tank. Now, am I going to sit here and tell you he's MVP peak Aaron Rodgers? No, but I do feel like with Jaylen Warren in the running game, they got a pretty good, DK Metcalf added. I feel like they've gotten with Pickens out. They've kind of gotten one of the head cases out of there. Deontay Johnson's out. Pickens is out. Claypool's gone. That I think that receiver core is a little bit easier to manage. I just feel like Rodgers isn't quite done. Now, he's not an MVP level, but I don't think Pittsburgh needs that. I think Pittsburgh just needs the driver. They just need a driver to get in there and get them safely from one spot to the next. And I think that Rodgers can do that. Mason Rudolph wasn't going to be that guy. Garrett's already put him in a graveyard a few times and tried to hit him with a helmet. So there's that. But I feel like just with the pieces that are there, get TJ Watt extended, which is kind of a sticking point right now. Get him extended, bring him back. The defense is still strong. I think Rodgers gives them just enough to get the ball to all the weapons. And I think it could be really interesting in Pittsburgh. I don't know if he can do it for 17 weeks consistently, and that's the only thing. It was a must-win situation against us, and he went and found kind of his playoff form. But that wasn't quite the case the rest of the year. But you look at his numbers from last year, you look at him and go, if you covered up the name Aaron Rodgers and just look at numbers, you go, those are pretty good numbers. And you go, Aaron Rodgers, like, oh. So I think he's still got something. I just don't know that he can do it for 17 games. And I think that could end up being the issue if he takes a few shots. I don't know that Pittsburgh's offensive line is all that yet. So I do think that's going to be the only real sticking point to me. I still think he can throw it. Guy can throw it. There's no question about that. He's one of the most fun guys I've ever seen throw football. And he has beat my team every single time he's played. So I respect the man, and I respect what he can do throwing a football. And that's not dead yet.
Johnny, how important is it that CJ threw yesterday just for the media storm that was kind of surrounding, hey, he hasn't really thrown. I'm a little worried about him. Was it important?
Yeah, I think I don't know that in the building they really kind of understood how big a talking point that was. And I think that was like, whoa, wow. I don't think we realized how much this was a talking point, because when D'Amico was asked about it initially, he just was like, hey, man, we got guys in other routines, different routines. We'll get them back. He didn't even say CJ's name. He just said, players come back and throw, because we've got like 10 or 12 guys that are still rehabbing injuries coming back from stuff. So, yeah, you kind of ramp everybody up. And, you don't treat CJ the way you treat Miles Bryant, the way you treat Danielle Hunter, the way you treat Eli Cox. They're all kind of, different just based on where they are in their careers and what they're trying to do, what they're coming back from injury-wise, or they rookies, all that. So I think between that and the next week is when really the volume got turned up. And I think everybody's kind of like, whoa, we were just trying to give him some rest. I think that was kind of the thought, like, hey, we're just trying to give him some rest, but he can still throw. And so going out there and then throwing well, I thought he threw well on yesterday's mini camp. So hopefully we'll get a chance to see him again. But yeah, it was kind of wild. And even in the building, I was like, not really panicked, but like, you got that little gnat that's in your ear every now and again, David. It's just kind of annoying. Mm-hmm. I felt like the noise was starting to kind of get to me. Like, okay, are they right? Like, man, is there something going on I don't know about? It's like, I've been in this building. I've seen him since February. Like, hey, I think it's okay. And so seeing him throw was kind of like, yeah, all right, man, I was right the whole time. Like, there's nothing to panic about, but hopefully it's going to be okay. But it was good to see him. I think it was good for the media to shut up too, to be honest. If I'm being honest, sometimes I really want to tell the media to like, shut the hell up. And I know I'm part of the media in kind of a weird way. But I'm more a Texan and an employee of the Texan than I am anything else. And I want to protect, this place, its people, and everything that we're doing here. And so that was starting to grate on my nerves. So it was good that it finally like shut down the noise, have a good day of mini camp. We can get into this break of 5 to 6 weeks for training camp and not have that lingering question of, well, is he going to throw? Is he, what's going to happen? Did he have surgery on both shoulders? Did he have surgery on his toe? Did he have surgery on his knee? Oh, he looks weird walking. Oh, what's wrong with his foot? Like, just, man, settle down. We're okay. And so I think throwing yesterday kind of did that for everybody, which thank God we can move on.
Johnny, I'm going to let you go, but I want to read this text from Jim in Temple. He says, don't forget, he's talking about sports beefs, Buddy Ryan and Kevin Gilbride.
I was there that night. I was there, and this shows you the difference in generations, David. I was there, and I didn't know what happened. I was in the building for that game. I did not know what happened until I came home, and my dad said, yeah, what about Buddy and Kevin? I'm like, what? I mean, at that point, you would have seen it all on your phone. You would have known. We didn't know about it. That was right at halftime. We didn't know about it going into the third quarter. David, we had no idea in the building anything happened. Got home, and that's when I was told about it.
Yep.
That's the difference in our generations.
I saw it on TV. I was in Miami watching the game, and I was hurt because I was a big Buddy Ryan guy. And that team I thought could have won it all. But we know how it ended against Joe Montana and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, man. You're supposed to leave me on a good note, David.
I'm just telling you.
You're supposed to leave me on a good note.
Those were 4 horrible years. You lost to the Steelers. You lost to the Bills. You lost to the Chiefs. Who was the other one? There was one more after that. Like, I mean, they were horrible finishes.
John Elway.
Broncos.
John Elway taking them the length of the field. Oh.
Yeah.
Those years are just brutal. And that's, that's what Houston fans' experiences are built on. That PTSD.
Yep.
And I don't know that really anybody in the building can kind of understand that unless they were part of that. And so when I start talking about that I had, trepidation about this, like, we're fine. But I'm like, yeah, but that's my experience. And it's been that way for 3 decades or more. So, we all have different experiences. So hopefully everything turns out okay.
Johnny, and throw in I'm an Aggie as well. Just saying, like, I've had similar experiences here too. Hey, buddy.
Understood.
We love you, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Love you, bro. See you soon, man. Bye.
Okay. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back and we'll get an update on track and field. Right now, it's heating up, and so is Duck Camp's Father's Day sale. Right now, you can get 60% off bestsellers and warm weather gear built for Aggies who live early in the mornings, in the blind, long days on the water, or late nights by the grill. Standouts from the lineup, you've got the lightweight performance crew, 30% off, built to breathe when it's not when it's hot and humid, perfectly for this awesome College Station weather when it's not raining, even if it is. Scout shorts, 30% off. Perfect for lake days, runs, Little League, or tailgate beers. Essential hoodies, 30% off right now. So soft, folks are sleeping in it. You should just try it. And the lightweight fishing shirt, 30% off right now, made from salt, sun, and long cast. Whether you're gearing up for summer or just counting the days till kickoff at Kyle Field, this one's for Aggie dads who show up, get it done, and always have one more story to tell. Hit up duckcamp.com to shop the Father's Day sale before it's gone. And don't wait, Father's Day and Aggie football will be here before you know it. It's Duck Camp. Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olson wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it. It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio, hour number 2 of the program. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk a little track and field. And the reason I want to do that is because we got the NCAA championships. This conversation is brought to you by the Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store where you can find Brooks, On, and Hoka shoes located at Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Ava Davis, who does not know who Sylvester Stallone is, but knows about track.
I do know
And you know about field.
I do know about track and field. Today, the opening event in Oregon will start at 12 p.m. The events will go through Saturday. A&M has 13 entries to the meet on the men's side and 12 on the women's side. This is making the Aggies one of 4 schools that have 12 teams on both men and women's teams. Entering the championships, the Aggies are ranked second both in men's and women's standings by the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association. The Aggies purchased 25 tickets in total, 22 coming out in track and 3 in field. Alex Sander Solove, he qualified in pole vault, and he will go today at 4:35 p.m. for the finals. Men's running semifinals will start today at 4:05 p.m. and women's running, semifinals, pardon me. And women's running semifinals will start tomorrow at 4:05, June 12th. We have 4 entries for the 400 meter, including Ahmed Robertson, Coulter Samso, Hossam Hadabed, And then we have Victor Kibigo. He qualified in the 3,000 meter steeplechase, 4x100 relay, and 4x400 meter relay. And Winnie Bai, she qualified for the triple jump, 4x100 meter relay, and 4x400 meter relay.
Awesome stuff there. Luke, anything you want to add to that?
Solovev is really good. Like, I don't think a lot of people appreciate track, but like having been there last week with Richard and Will Huffman, by the way, massive track nerd. Like, if you like track, you need to talk to Will Huffman because he knows his stuff.
He's one of our photographers for those who don't know.
He's one of our photographers. Sorry, Nick was talking in my ear. Isn't it just so, when you're trying to do your job and it's just people yapping and yapping behind you, and it's like, I can't even get anything done.
Difference between me and Luke is I don't complain about it. I just know how to tune it out.
That's certainly fair. You know, I'm new on the job, so I complain sometimes, and that's okay. But anyways, yeah, Solovev, he's number 1 in the NCAA right now, currently jumping almost 19 feet, 18 feet and 9 and 1/4. So, David, I just want to know, if you were doing pole vault, how high could you go? Because pretty much everyone jumping in the finals is doing at least 5.4 meters, so over 17 feet. And for a guy that is about 6 feet tall, what do you think you could jump?
I don't think I could jump anything. Like, I'm serious. I don't think I have, like, I've never tried a pole vault. I don't think I would, let me see how I want to phrase this. I don't know if I could.
Yeah, be careful with your phrasing here.
Yeah, I couldn't do that part, okay? I don't know how to phrase it. That part.
Like, do that motion one more time.
I don't know if I could do that. And I don't think I could have a very high vertical leap anyway, but I don't know if I could stick the pole in the area.
Goodness gracious.
Let's just move on. Farming and ranching families think I was trying to find a way and I just couldn't do it. God.
By the way, for everyone watching, Obi is not forcing him to say these things. These are from David's own words.
You set me up and I was trying to find a way around it, and I was like, and now I'm going to get a call. HR is going to call me upstairs in a minute, and I'm going to have to throw you under the bus because they're going to see that you pushed me in an area.
Let's go ahead and let's tell us about that ad read.
Which ad read was it?
I can tell you in about 10 seconds. It's going to be...
You're wrong. Whatever it is, you're wrong. I just said it.
Association of Former Students.
No, I mean, I could do that
if you're looking for a job, trying to get back in Aggie.
Okay, now I got to switch it. I already started the Farm and Ranch Films part of it. I actually gave the first line, and now I've got to do the Association of Former Students. Yes, if you want a job, you want to move. I shouldn't say it angry. If you would like a job and you would like to move to College Station or to the Bryan area or the Brazos Valley, you should reach out to the Association of Former Students that bring Aggies of all ages together during marquee events. That's from a different read, but they still do that. But also, if you want to work from them, They got marketing openings. They've got fundraising. They've got sales. They've got communications. They are the premier alumni association working with that Aggie network, and they've done it for over 140 years. If you want to check out some of the jobs there, go to the association's website. You'll learn all about their awesome positions and the great company that they are that really instills those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service. I did that without the copy. It is the Association of Former Students. Go check it out. We're out kicking our coverage here on the show because we got a great guest, Jonathan Hutton. God, I felt like OB saying that. You know, one of these cheesy lines. Let's go to the Buffy's Catering Hotline. Our buddy Jonathan Hutton from Outkick. What's up, buddy? Oh no, there you are. Hey, buddy.
Hey, yeah, there we go. Man, it's good to see you. Hope things are well.
I hope things are well with you. So, at this point of the offseason, all right, because I know your show does a little bit of everything. You'll talk pros, you'll talk college, but I know college is a lot of the bread and butter. What is steering the show right now for you guys?
I've tried to take the focus, and I mean, you guys do a great job with this. I mean, we play the hits, so different than top 40 radio station. You know, if Taylor Swift has the #1 song in America, you know you're going to hear it once an hour. Football is that. We're going to talk football every day of the year. Chad and I, we've always said the way to describe it would be like we're talking about whatever we would at the bar, in some degree. And a lot of it right now, honestly, is still Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. That sounds crazy to me, but that's what people talk about. We do our show from Old Smoky Moonshine, the distillery here in Nashville. That's what people talk about there. It blows my mind. It's an Angel Reese is, you know, an okay player for that league, but it's the rivalry, not the stat line. Well, it's interesting you say that because I have not, and I hope I don't get the feminists to come after me. I don't mean it. I have not watched 1 second of the WNBA the last 3 years. You don't have to. But you don't have to. I'm on social media, and my algorithm tells me that I like it because it keeps popping up, and I do click on it. It's like it's a very interesting dynamic. Yeah, you're watching it because it goes viral. I don't know that they're playing, you know, but the numbers are insane. Like the 2.5 million are watching that game where it's a blowout. I mean, it's like 90-50 or something. I mean, it's an awful, awful product. But they're watching Caitlin Clark go out Angel Reese and back and forth. I mean, whatever. But hey, think about this. If Angel Reese, I mean, I know you haven't watched the game, but you saw the clip. If she doesn't get up and go after her for a routine foul in that situation, if she doesn't do that, it's almost like a truce. Then the rivalry's over, and you know, it's like good. This is great for them because it keeps the discussion going. And you know, it's still football for us. But while we're waiting on the college football and not just the football, but NCAA to figure out if they're going to get that judge to sign the settlement, this is what we were discussing. I want you to be my therapist here, all right? Help me out. So I am anti-Angel Reese, and I don't know why. I mean, I think I know why. But I'm pro Draymond Green. You know, it's like Draymond, I think he's likable. And even when he was taking on the Rockets, I grew up a Rockets fan, I didn't like what he was doing. I didn't like him kicking somebody in the area. I didn't like I like him. There's something very likable, but they're villains, right? I think it's because you may not like Draymond Green if you're a fan of a team facing him, but if you were on your team, you're cool with it. Angel Reese is like getting offensive rebounds because she misses layups. It was different whenever she was winning at LSU head-to-head against Caitlin Clark. I think Clark is 4-1 now against her. I shouldn't know that stat, but I do. That it's not really even close or comparable on who's the better player. So Draymond Green is, good. And he's calling himself the best defensive player in the history of the NBA, which is just dumb. But he's putting it out there, and it's not like the leading rebounder in the WNBA is claiming to be the best of all time because, well, it's the W. Right. I think that's the other thing. You're one side or the other with the rivalry. It's not like you're watching the game. I don't either. So yeah, that's why you're picking a side based on just, I guess, tabloids. Well, the tabloid Twitter instead of actually the product. That fits one of our topics from earlier the day, like beefs that sports beefs that we love. And, it's interesting at what point in my life I kind of changed, right? For instance, growing up, I was, even though they weren't they were rivals on the court, but they were buddies, Magic and Bird, I was more on. You're going with this, yeah. I was more on Matt, but as I've gotten older, I'm more Larry Bird, right? When it was Shaq and Kobe, I'm more Kobe now, but back then I was more Shaq. So here's where I thought you were going with it. I was a big growing up in Tennessee. There's no NBA, so the NFL wasn't here for a long time either. So you've got the majority of what the country was receiving. And we got a lot of Chicago Bulls basketball on NBC. Huge Jordan fan. And then all of a sudden I was just kind of like, I'm tired of it because Penny Hardaway and Shaq went to Orlando. And then he kind of flips. So I think it was Shaq and Kobe at the very beginning. And then you compare it to the end, you're like, I'm just tired of this. So I think the best players become the villain in some way, and then he comes back around. I think we went through it with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He comes back around, and you root for him. I'm waiting on that with the Chiefs. I think there's Chiefs fatigue now.
Yeah.
And I think the majority of us are going to be talking about that this year because they're on so many different. I mean, I think they're on, within the first 8 weeks of the season, they're on national TV on the marquee games 5 or 6 times. There's going to be a lot of that. And I mean, are they going to be the best team? They didn't look like it last year as far as the product on the field.
I saw it with Tiger, right? And, there's some drama off the course. And I saw it with my team for drama, the Astros, right? The Astros were very lovable in 2017, became hateable and almost likable again, but not from a certain fan base.
Let's see. I mean, just the Yankees are the Yankees. You're either on the board or you're not.
Right.
But, could you say it about some of the players? Absolutely. A-Rod, I think, any of those, no one really turned on Griffey ever. But other than that, Mark McGwire during the steroid, McGwire and Sosa, I think would be a good comparison in the home run race. But yeah, what about college football? I think coaches.
Yeah.
Coaches for sure. Saban's he would be the leader in the clubhouse for me right now. I love him on TV.
Yeah, I love him on TV. I didn't like him when A&M had to play him every year, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I was on Jimbo's side during the beef because that was my guy, and I kind of agreed with Jimbo. I didn't like the execution afterwards. Lane Kiffin, I actually love Lane Kiffin, except when he talks about A&M. It's a weird so. In college football, I think you want to hate the other guy often, but I kind of like Lane, but he bugs me at the same time.
So the Tennessee Volunteer football fan base, I'm not a Vols fan. It's peculiar to me because they love Kiffin and he ghosted them and went to USC. And where they would be now is just the path that they've taken to be the Vols today. It wouldn't have led to that. To this. So, I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, he was cold calling our show back in the day. And at the end of calls, he would just be like, go Vols. And he's a coach, he's at Florida Atlantic at the time. And he's trolling the fan base and he loves it. Like I respect it. I find it very entertaining, but it's a fan base that was literally just left and ghosted. And now every time there's an opening in Tennessee, Kiffin's name is coming up. And why would you want that guy back?
Yeah.
It's like, can we go? It's like any of the true Saban at LSU, Michigan State, whatever. But like, when your coach leaves, yeah, it's kind of like GTFO at that point. You're forever the villain.
Hey,
and Kiffin wasn't that guy, even though he played the troll.
You said it to an A&M baseball fan base that 100% agrees with you, by the way, right? So get out of here.
Bobby Petrino at Auburn.
Oh yeah.
Just in Louisville, just how the Atlanta Falcons with him, whatever,
And it's weird that he's back at Arkansas as their offensive coordinator after everything that has happened.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's move on to this topic. I'm going to ask you something about the House settlement, but from a different perspective, because I think our audience is sick of talking about it. Is a step forward. Let's take a look at it from a coach's point of view. Do you think coaches are embracing this change? And I think the other part of the question is, and already planning how they can move around in some of these loopholes that they'll find.
Well, do you want to know my thoughts? Just briefly, I'll keep it brief.
Sure.
I don't think this is going to work for college football or college sports. I'm pessimistic about this because who's representing the players in this? And that's the whole basis of antitrust laws. The clearinghouse is going to determine what is fair market value. To me, I'm going to see I envision lawsuits saying if the car dealership wants to pay me $1 million to come out and do autograph signs, that's fair market value for me because someone's willing to pay me that. That's going to be the argument. And man, coaches love it because they're going to continue to get high buyouts because they're going to have the money. They're going to have the money now. I think the coaches love it from the agent perspective. And the loopholes are always going to be there because of the state laws. This whole loyalty pledge, whatever. It comes down to a loyalty pledge. That's not, is that a legal document? You're going to kick Tennessee out of the SEC for not signing the loyalty pledge? I compared it to like an abstinence pledge whenever you're in, 5th grade, 6th grade. You sign it, but I'm not sure how many people followed it because you want to say, be with one person for the rest of your life. And they're preaching that from the sex ed course. It's state law versus the conferences. And each state is going to pony up and change laws left and right just so their team can win. It's nuts. This is a step forward because something happened. I want something to happen. I don't want different states and the Vols to just do their own thing because they can pay based on the law versus what is great for college football. But ultimately, as long as I feel the way I do on Saturdays, and it still gives me the college football game day feeling, I'm okay. I haven't changed my passion for it yet. So as long as it still feels like college football, I can't complain too much.
Are you going to Atlanta next month?
Yeah, we're going down. So can we go inside baseball? Do you have time?
Well, let's hit a break. Tell me on the other side because I got to hit a break right here.
I'm going to get your take on this, on the value of it.
Yeah, what a break. It's TexAgs Live. All right, we're back. TexAgs Live. We got a couple minutes left with Jonathan Hutton. Let's get to it at the Bumpy's Catering Hotline. All right, so I asked you about SEC Media Days. We're going to be there. I hope we hang out. I had a blast a couple years ago at Nashville. It's my favorite. But you're going to be in Atlanta.
No matter where it is, I will be. No, and we will hang. No matter where it is. I want the SEC to be more focused on the media and Radio Row and access to coaches and players. It is a car wash for the networks. They're all booked up for the day, but before they arrive, give us more access. I love Greg Sankey, who does every show. It's time to actually have the SEC be the SEC with everyone.
I agree with you, by the way. We actually sent emails to all the SIDs around the conference trying to get them booked. But in my opinion, and Billy and I talked about this last week, the best place to do SEC Media Days is Nashville, no doubt.
Love it. Oh, I mean, I love it. I'm about to go walk downtown right now. So, the Woo girls are out here.
Hey, man.
That's what we call them.
We're all about it. Hey, appreciate your time. Thanks for staying a couple extra minutes. We'll do it again soon, all right?
Yeah, appreciate you.
Later, brother. Jonathan Hutton on TexAgs Live. We'll hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Live, Jason Howell with Recruiting Country. Hobart Tucker is sending a message on the YouTube page. Says, David, are there any reports of Moss actually working out, running, lifting, golf, drawing up new running plays, anything? I know he and Elko say he is 100%, but is he on schedule? And I'm trying to get the actual quote from Elko at one of the coaches' night. He will be 100% for sure for camp. I think he's running. He's here at A&M now. He did not go home for the break. He's here continuing to work with our physical therapy department. When you go out there and watch him run, he looks really good right now. We're excited with how his rehab process has gone. So, yeah, he's running. We'll hit a break. Jason Howell next on TexAgs Live. Hey, everyone. David Nuño and Olin Buchanan and OB. Typically, we start off the show in this section, and we call it the Holistic Planning Cool
The cool zone, yeah. It's pretty cool.
What do we know about holistic planning?
Well, a lot of cool stuff. For instance, holistic planning can help you with your investments.
I love that.
They can help you with your taxes. So
I don't like paying taxes.
You can get that money from your investments and they keep it. They'll help you keep it away from the government.
Yep.
Not all of it, but more of it. And then they'll even help you with your estate planning. When you're old like me, you got to make sure some of that money you made is there for when you want to retire and just enjoy the rest of your life.
You want your estate to be planned. But they also do something else.
Yeah, well, if you are, like, say, a sports fan, and you've always wanted to...
Everybody watching us, right?
Yeah. And you want to always dream of being an owner, well, in a certain way you can, because they will broker the deal for you to invest in pro sports.
Yeah, what you need to do is check out investinprosports.com. That's where you can get all the information if you want to invest in a team. I don't know what team. He'd probably try to buy the Cowboys. I'd try to buy a lot of the Houston teams. Whatever it may be, investinprosports.com. It is holistic planning, and we love hanging out at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for Recruiting Country, brought to you by American Momentum Bank. And our friend Jason Howell is in the hizzy. What's up, buddy?
Oh, same old, man. Trying to track these kids all over the state.
Yeah.
All over camp. We got 2 in the books this week. Got another one coming up tomorrow.
So 2 weeks in a row you've been here.
Yeah.
You had never done a show from the studio, and now you've done 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed. I'm still in awe. The second time around, it's just as beautiful and awesome as the first time.
Let's talk a little bit about Chance Collins. He's going to announce today at 2:00.
Yeah.
How are we feeling about A&M's chances?
If you'd have asked me about this time yesterday, I was not feeling so great. Texas Tech had a lot of momentum there, and but I think Texas A&M's made up some ground and done some good things. He was in town yesterday with the 7-on-7 team with his high school, competing at the Texas A&M 7-on-7 camp, and I think he got quite a bit of attention.
Yeah. I think you posted that, right? Like they were up, they were with him a lot.
Last night, I was starting to get the feeling that A&M was trending upward and had closed that gap a little bit. And right now, if I'm making a prediction, I think A&M's kind of in that lead.
So let me ask you: when things are this close, and like 1 minute it looks like it's going one way, then the next minute it changes. That's recruiting today, and B, like whatever direction he decides to go. If he decides today, it seems like it's still going to be a battle.
Yeah. I mean, I get the sense Texas Tech's not going away.
Yeah.
Of course, I think A&M, if they're able to pull it out, it's I think they're going to be in a great spot. This is a kid. He does have some A&M ties. Edrin Cooper was is a cousin, and he's been multiple times. So I think there's a good feel there with the coaches and everything that if they are able to pull out the W today, I think it's like any of these. Yeah, you gotta stay on it. Don't let up. Otherwise, your competition is gonna jump in there and try and plant the seeds of doubt and division. And we'll see how it all works out. You got Utah and West Virginia in there as well in his top 4, and he's announcing today on his Instagram. So make sure and go tune into that about 2 p.m. But right now, I'm predicting A&M. We'll see how it works out in the end, though.
Okay, and how would he fit into A&M's plans? And just talk to it a little bit about positionally and just some of his skills.
I mean, this is a guy who he's a true safety. He's been a standout both sides of the ball on special teams as well as a return man. He was one of their leading receivers at Timberview last year and has been a leader in a really strong defense. Timberview has a reputation as a hard-edge program, and they just play a gritty brand of football, and they produce a lot of guys who go on to do great things in the college level. This is a guy who could be a versatile playmaker in the back end of the defense, plays physical. Has got some really good cover skills, plays with good instincts, and as a receiver on the back end. So he brings a lot to the table. You saw him yesterday jumping in passing lanes and things like that to create some problems in the 7-on-7.
So let's kind of go back to Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the visits.
Yeah.
And it was a really good weekend from, hey, I'm not going anywhere. This is my school.
Yeah, Aaron Gregory, I think, kind of set the tone.
Yep.
And with his announcement there that, hey, I'm locking in. And I think he had multiple tweets. He had a whole thing, like a big message, like I know what's best for my future and my family, and really made a strong statement there. And then Jonathan Hutton was right there as well. He may have been the first one, but both of them were way out in front, just kind of leading that charge. And talking to Aaron Gregory, he was just like, yeah, want to
He's
set
a good
the
kid.
tone.
I like him.
Yeah. A big personality. I think we're going to see a lot from him in the studio. I think he's one of those media savvy guys that's going to be a lot of fun to follow once he makes it to College Station. He brings a big personality, but really smart, and just he gets it. You know, when it comes to what he's looking for, he's got him and his family. They have a really precise plan, and a big reason why he chose A&M was the relationships that he formed with many of the staff members all the way back when they were at Duke.
Yeah.
And and I know his cousin Jordan Carter, same way, and he said as much as well. So, but pretty much all the commits said, hey, we're shutting things down, we're locking in, and they did a great job helping to recruit over the weekend.
Well, and look, I know this because I had conversations, but the Aggie Network played a part in this as well. Like the family really valued that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, they get it. They see the infrastructure on and off the field, the Aggie Network, the academic side of things, and then Holman Wiggins and that receiver room and his reputation as a developer I know it really played a huge role in his decision as well.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And then Jonathan Hutton says, I'm not going anywhere. It's interesting, almost like an organic plant your flag, this is my place on the same weekend. That was great to see.
Yeah. I mean, they were all, kind of in lockstep. Even talking to Helaman Kasuga, I think Caleb Tafua, the tight end, made a post. I don't think Kasuga had a graphic or anything, but the other day I saw he quote tweeted Tafua and was like, yeah, 100,000% or whatever it was, let's go. So, all those guys, the bond in that class with the guys that are already committed, you could tell just in talking to them that it was real productive for them as a group. And then they, made sure to get after a lot of those key targets that were on campus last week.
That's right. Talk to us about some of the other guys that visited this weekend and how things went.
Well, Tristan Keys, receiver, 5-star receiver out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, committed to LSU. But he's kept an open eye to his options, and Texas A&M's been a school that he's watched. He visited several times before he committed to LSU. He visited in the fall. He came back in the spring, it's one of those things where he's liked what he's seen, and A&M's been a player there, and I think getting him around some of those guys over the weekend really played a part. He also signed a big NIL deal, I think, with Adidas right before his official visit. And, I'm not saying 1 and 1 equals 2 here, but, that A&M Adidas connection is very prominent, and, it can't hurt.
Who else was in town that they made some strides with?
Tane Jones out of Mobile, Alabama was another one. He's a guy, edge defender that he's looking at Oregon, he's looking at Alabama. He's got those couple of visits coming up. He's taking visits to Miami, Auburn. I think Florida's in there as well. But A&M has been, he's a guy that A&M has quietly been real productive with. And I say quietly because I think some of the national guys have not really paid much attention to A&M's efforts there, but he's visited multiple times. His parents love it. He's talked about how homey it feels, and you're talking about a big destructive edge defender.
Sure.
One of the nation's best, a twitchy guy. He brings a lot to the table. A&M's got their hands full, but I would say if they're not one, they're way up there, on his list, and a real contender for his commitment.
Let's hit an early break and do another segment with Jason here on TexAgs Live. Right now, when insurance matters most, who's going to answer your call? That's Rollo Insurance. They're right down the road from us. They're on Highway 6 in College Station. Super local, but they are more than just local. They are a regional bank. They're a national bank. They do it all. But again, their roots are right here in College Station. Jason Rollo, Jackson Rollo, the entire crew there does amazing work. They've been our insurance agents. We moved to town, but if we moved to Houston, if we went to Dallas, it doesn't matter. They're going to take great care of us because they've got agents all over the great state of Texas, 60 offices, and beyond Texas as well. They're going to talk you through the process and make sure that you understand what your insurance options are. The difference is real with Rollo Insurance, an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for. They do the shopping for you so that you can accomplish your insurance goals. You can call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com. That's rolloinsurance.com. Something wrong with your Little Zach Bryan for you here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is recruiting country, and that is brought to you by American Momentum Bank. All right, Jason, so let's talk now about the offensive line and their efforts and initiatives there.
Yeah, so one of the criticisms A&M's probably received from their fan base more than not is the offensive line and not having one in the class so far. But this past weekend, they had 3 of their top targets in town in North Crowley, offensive tackle John Turntine, offensive tackle Zayden Crimpin out of Prosper, and you had an out-of-state offensive lineman Samuel Roseborough out of the Tampa area, and all 3 of them left with you had to feel good about where A&M stood with all those guys. Now, A&M didn't get a commitment, but that was also not, nobody was expecting that coming into the weekend. They have visits set up and scheduled, but A&M's way up there for each one of those guys, and I think you're going to see the Aggies end up with 1, maybe even 2 of those guys. I don't see them making a clean sweep, but I could see a couple of those guys ending up in College Station at the end of the day.
Are you saying when you say at the end of the day, long-term projection, or like here in the next couple weeks, month, we may see some movement?
You're going to see those guys make some summertime decisions.
Okay.
All of them have narrowed lists. I think with Turntine, it's Stanford, A&M, Michigan, and Texas. With Crimpin, you're looking at A&M, Michigan, LSU, and Texas. And with Roseborough, I think it's A&M, Texas. I want to say there's Florida State in there, Ohio State, and I think he's got top 5. I'm missing somebody, but anyways, you got some top competition for all of those guys. But I would say A&M's in the top 1, 2, 3 for each one of those guys right now, and they made some really big pushes for all of them this weekend. I think they put a really good foot forward. All of them had great things to say. Crimpin caught himself a 6.5-pound bass.
There you go.
And I know Turntine did some fishing as well.
At Aggie Park?
Yeah. So I think they spent some time fishing, some good time around the coaches, and I know Mike Elko spent a lot of time with Crimpin's parents, and I'm sure he did with a lot of them, but they got a lot of really good quality time, and I feel like where A&M's been throughout all of these processes, they've been consistent, they've been strong, they've been right there at the tip top of each one of those, and I feel like the Aggies are in strong contention as you move towards late June, July. It seems like when you'll start to hear some of those names, and maybe somebody who doesn't make a commitment to A&M, kind of like a Lamont Rogers,
right?
Maybe does make a pledge somewhere else. Yeah, these are 3 guys I do see A&M trying to, continue to build that relationship regardless of what happens this summer. But I think there's a real strong chance that one or multiple of those guys end up in the commit class before the start of the season.
Asher Murray becomes the 13th member of that 2026 class. This happened, the kicker, that was what, a couple days ago? Yesterday? 2 days ago, Monday.
Yeah, they all blend together, don't they? But he announced his decision. I think he told the staff before he left his plans. I mentioned him last week. He had just picked up his offer and scheduled his official visit. So you see that ball start to rolling, and with specialists, there's not a lot of opportunities that go around. So it's kind of like quarterback. Sometimes that once the ball gets going, the decision can be made pretty quickly. And I think Asher, he got that visit scheduled, and he knew it was done.
Yeah.
And so, but All-American kicker from a family of kickers. I think he's got 2 older brothers that have kicked in college. One's currently at least still kicking. I think he's just transferred from Miami to Cal. But they're well known in the Shreveport area and all around the country for just being big legs, accurate. He's handled kickoffs and field goals and extra points there at Byrd for at least the last year at All-State and All-American. So big, get over Maryland and Memphis with, I think he had interest from Auburn, Ole Miss, Georgia. A lot of the SEC was really checking him out.
I'm looking at this note from your article on yesterday. It says 18 official visitors this past weekend, 6 commitments, 1 addition over the weekend, 2 tanks, 11 different states, 5 Texas prospects, every single position group represented. So overall, they had it all covered.
Yeah, they had a lot there, and there's another little stat in there about tubing and karaoke and tomahawk steaks, and man, they had a lot of fun. I've heard stories. I think it's the adult karaoke night that may be the
winner.
Yeah, I mean, the kids go off and the parents go and have dinner and karaoke, and it sounds like a blast.
How does his approach, now that we've seen it for over a year, talking about Coach Elko's approach with the recruiting and how everything, how does it compare to years past? Maybe different regimes. Like it's an extension of all, but maybe a little cleaned up.
I'll be honest. I think a lot of it all goes back to relationships and just trying to build something fun, have everybody have a relaxed, good time. And I think even Jimbo, you had that. He tried to foster that. You had the pool party barbecue and all that stuff that he kind of carried over. And I think Elko's kind of using a lot of that. Now, he's got his own tactics and his ways of going about it. But it's about getting people having fun. Yeah. And then that can lead to some really good positive discussions that are about business, that are about. And when I talk about business, I mean, just like, here's what A&M has to offer from, where we see you fitting into the football team to, what the academics at, all that stuff. But you got to have a good mix. And, I think Elko does a great job of blending the two and creating an atmosphere that's fun. Everybody has a good time. They get fat, they eat well, and it leads to some good memories and some good conversation.
Day 1 of camp yesterday. Anything jump out?
Man, they had a strong group of. Actually, on Sunday, we didn't get to talk about Sunday's camp, but they had a strong group of defensive linemen on that. That's going to be right up there with.
So each day is a different day of camp. It's a different group potentially.
Yeah. So Sunday was overall prospect camp.
Okay.
So you had every position: quarterback, receiver, corner, offensive line, defensive line. Yesterday was you had the 7-on-7 camp where you had actual teams, like high school teams bringing their guys up and competing in a 7-on-7 tournament. Okay. And then you have the O-line, D-line, big man camp, and they get to spend quality time there with Coach Cushing, Coach Tony Girardetti, Coach Chaos, all those guys, and get work hands-on with those guys. But it's you and then on Thursday you'll have another prospect camp that's for everybody. But yeah, so they've kind of broken it up a little bit and done some things differently and got a little different format than what we saw with Jimbo. But the last few years, it's really worked out well. I know they had the guys at the big man camp working in Kyle Field yesterday, and that indoor facility is getting a lot of use with that 7-on-7 camp and those practice fields right there behind it. So it's a great format, and they've done a really good job of getting it up and going. And like yesterday, you had guys getting offers. Yeah. And not because of what they technically did at 7-on-7, right? But we always say, man, if somebody's looking good out there and doing some big things,
it's worth that conversation, right?
Well, you go back and you watch the tape. You see what they did in the fall. You see what they did in spring ball. You see what kind of notes you have on that prospect. And if you got enough to go on, hey, pull that trigger. We see something special. And yesterday you saw, you saw a few guys get offered. One of the most notable was Jaden Fields out of Hutto. He's going to be a guy I highlight tomorrow.
Okay.
But he picked up an offer yesterday after just having a phenomenal day with Hutto and that offense. Eli Reinhardt's new head coach came over from North Crowley, won a state championship as the offensive coordinator. And he's got that offense humming, and he's got a quarterback, and he's got a couple receivers, and Jaden Fields is one of those. He's seen his offer list shoot through the roof over the last few weeks, and A&M put their scholarship on the table as well yesterday.
Who is there any big names we need to look out for tomorrow?
Let's see. I feel like I should know. I think I'll throw this one out.
Okay.
Ismail Kamara. He didn't get to go and work out on last big man camp.
Sure.
He was working through a little injury, but I think look for him to be back tomorrow and get in some reps there and learn hands on a little bit more from Coach Cush.
And we've got some official visits this weekend as well.
Yeah. I've got some stats this week.
Okay, let's do it.
I'll run through it. Let me go. 15 overall prospects, 3 commitments, 6 Texas prospects, 8 different states, and I want to say every position but QB and tight end. Now, there is a prospect that's going to be coming in as an athlete that has potential at tight end.
Okay.
And Caden Johnson out of Fort Bend Marshall. He's played quarterback his whole life. His dad has a history on the defensive line, and I think A&M's looking at him as kind of a big athlete that I think he's 6'6", 245, phenomenal athlete, and he's got a chance to who knows what he could be. He could be a lot of different things, but kind of look at him in the same vein as maybe a Demetrius Crownover type, or somebody that could positionally. He may come in as one thing, may end up another. You just kind of see how it all kind of comes together over the years. But a lot of upside potential and athleticism and that quarterback background is very intriguing, especially as you're looking at something, at a different position.
You said 15 this weekend. Is that the number I heard?
Let me make sure. I think I said 15. 15, yes.
Okay.
And you've got a guy that was originally scheduled the previous weekend. I haven't put it on the site yet, so I'm going to break some news.
Don't say it. Yeah. Oh, you're going to break it?
I'm going to put it
breaking news right here.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Cam Hamill is going to be back in town. He moved his official visit up from the 20th to the 13th. So he'll be in town. And you got 2 Ohio guys, Storm Miller, linebacker, and Victor Singleton coming back. So you've got a couple of Ohio guys. You got Arizona, and then you got a loaded slate of uncommitted guys that A&M's going to be going after pretty hard.
There we go.
Feaster, and we'll be posting that list here shortly.
They really want Booby, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. I'm not going there.
I wasn't even thinking that, Jason. I wasn't even thinking that. So let's play it out, because right now they're depending on what service or what top 5, top 6.
Yeah.
They end up getting a couple of the offensive linemen we talked about, all right? And maybe you turn Booby or Tristan Keys or one of these guys, right?
Yeah.
We're talking what, maybe top 4 class potentially?
Yeah, I've said it before. I think anywhere 4 to 8. I think A&M's
4 to 8
in that national group.
Okay.
You can say, hey, you can make a case like, that puts you at 4 to 5 in the SEC, and I get that. But when you're looking at 3 to 5 in the SEC, the difference is kind of one service could have one over the other or whatever.
And if you look at 2-3 years together, what that also means.
Exactly. So you got to stack those classes, and A&M I think is doing that. Last year they put together a really solid effort. And you want to take care of your home state. I think they're going to end up with a quality class from in-state and some top guys that are out there. They're going to win some of those battles, and for some big guys in-state as well. And you'll see them put together a real quality class at the end of the day.
And Jason, look, they've done a really nice job with limited success the last few years, like some success, right? If they put together a stellar campaign, right? They have that year, that 9-3, 10-2 type of year. I think you're going to get a bump from where you are right now.
Yeah, I mean, just like we saw last year with the LSU game, you know, when they had, that was the peak momentum of the season, right?
Sure.
And you saw a lot of that recruiting momentum in that 26 class built
on that game
after, you know, in that stretch.
Yeah.
And you know, of course, injuries and things happen. You don't play as well as you'd like down the stretch there, and some of the shine comes off. But you could see some of the promise that the offense had and all that, and you continue to build on that. And yeah, absolutely. Eventually, you got to get over that hump and break through. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to be struggling. But yeah, I think there is a lot of promise, and these kids, they see some of that. And to borrow a line that Bronny used to say, yeah, you know, you're selling some sizzle right now. You got to put some steak on the table at some point. And right now, I think there's a little bit more sizzle than steak, but there's some crumbs there. There's some bits and pieces that people can hold on to, and I think we're gonna, you know, you'll see how it plays out. But A&M's in very good position to land a top class.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you, sir. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back. We're going to find out a little bit more about the Shamar Stewart situation with the Bengals. Got some sound from him and just a little more clarity. Luke's going to help us with that. Right now, if your wheels have been damaged by potholes, curbs, or mediums, go see the experts at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. You don't need to replace those damaged rims. You just need to repair them. Don't always feel like you have to replace them. Like, they'll take care of you. They'll make them look great. They've got over 2 decades of experience making sure that your wheels are returned to perfectly safe working condition. They want to road force balance all their wheels to make sure you get the smoothest, most safest possible ride. If you've got some issues with your wheels, let them take care of it. Bent or cracked rims, you name it. Don't let everyone else tell you to get them replaced. Have them repaired, because that's what they do there at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. If your wheels are in good shape, you just want a fresh new look, they got pros there to help you get that custom, unique look that's going to transform your car or truck into your dream reality, right? They'll do that for you. It is Brazos Valley Wheel Repair, offering free interest financing. What you need to do is check out the website, bvwheelrepair.com, bvwheelrepair.com, or in person, 508 Burnett Street in Bryan. It is Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. All right, guys, let's talk about some new partners, Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. They're Aggie owned and operated. They are an mobile IV hydration company that was founded back in 2024. I met with Sheldon and Danny over the last week, and they're awesome people. They really know what they're doing. They're proud to serve Bryan College Station with awesome services like IV hydration, Botox, and even some weight loss options. Whether you're looking for a quick boost of hydration or dehydration preventative, they can tailor an IV cocktail specific to your needs. And on a busy weekend, I know some of you guys might be partying a little bit too much. If that's the case, an IV can be one of the easiest ways to ensure you're receiving all those necessary vitamins and minerals that make you feel better. Their overall mission is to bring a more personalized and accessible wellness option to the broader range of clientele here in the Bryan College Station and Brazos Valley area. To book an appointment or inquire about it, just call them up or text them, 979-217-1561. Again, it's Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. Check them out. It's our friends at Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. Well, Johnny Cash for you. I'm watching. Look, I'm late to the party. I guarantee you, Luke Evangelist has not watched this documentary, but Ken Burns has a documentary from 2019 called Country Music, and I'm watching it. Have you seen it? There's no chance. You don't watch documentaries, right? You just watch Reels and TikTok, right?
Yeah, TikTok, Netflix, Love Island, the usual.
Yeah. So I'm watching it. It's really good, and it talks a lot about Johnny Cash days. So just I thought of it because the music was playing. So Luke, help me out here. So I have not done a lot of research on this Shamar Stewart situation, other than I know that the Bengals are trying to write language in the contract that could void future dollars for Shamar Stewart. And my understanding is, and you can help me explain this, most or all NFL teams don't void the future dollars, and this is a pretty uniform contract, and the Bengals are trying to kind of word it differently that could cost Shamar Stewart and others. I think it's Trey Hendrickson. There's something with his contract that I read about as well. But Shamar is obviously the one that hits home here. So am I right on explaining it? Is that kind of where we are?
Yeah, so the official verbiage that they're trying to change is this new clause that they're adding in the contract is that it would turn a default in any given year into a void of all remaining guarantees. So the money that he would be guaranteed potentially in year 3, if they default or like something happens with him in year 2, that would then mean he doesn't get any of the money for the remaining years, which is crazy to me because usually it's when a void is happening, it wipes out the guarantee for the year that it happens in, not every year after that. So they're trying to make him the guinea pig to try and cheat the system and save a couple bucks down the line potentially. And Shamar Stewart rightfully is saying, look, I don't want to be the guinea pig for this. I deserve to not just be paid what I'm owed, but to have contract language that everyone else has across the league.
Now, how is this being played in the media locally? Because I remember when it first came out, social media was against Shamar Stewart. Then as more information came out, like, oh, it's the Bengals being the Bengals. Have you seen, like, how it's being played beyond, like, we're seeing it from an Aggie's perspective, and I like Shamar Stewart. I like him personally. I think he's going to do great at the next level. How is it being played there in Cincinnati? Have you seen that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So initially it was, he's from Texas A&M, bad culture. He only had 4.5 sacks. Why is he arguing and trying to get what he deserves? Well, that was the narrative at first, and the media and people like Pat McAfee have really picked up the story and helped turn it in Shamar Stewart's favor, which, by the way, it was always in his favor. He was just trying to get what he was owed. And so a lot more momentum is starting to pick up of people being like, wait, this isn't a Shamar Stewart issue. It's a Bengals front office issue, which, by the way, has had a reputation for not exactly signing the most lucrative or fair deals. And they're doing that right now, not just to Shamar Stewart, who just wants his rookie contract with rookie language in it. They're doing it to Trey Hendrickson, who's one of the best defensive linemen in the entire league, who was the leader in sacks of that team. They are holding out from signing him because they want to save a couple $1 million. So it's not just a Shamar issue. It is a Bengals issue. It's never been a Shamar issue. It's been a Bengals issue, and that is finally now starting to come to light. Pat McAfee had a clip about it. Billy retweeted it on his Twitter yesterday about just what is really happening has started to come to light as this is a Bengals problem.
All right, I want to play some sound from Shamar, but first, as a reminder, the final segment of the program is coming up here in a few minutes, and that is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. All right, let's hear from Shamar, who I think spoke yesterday. He's showed up to mandatory minicamp. He's just not practicing. He's not involved, but frustrating. He's frustrated that he's not practicing.
I still go to meetings. I still study my playbook, take down the right notes, and then whenever I get some free time, I go out to train at Black Sheep.
Is it fair to say at this point that you will not step foot on the practice field in practice until you're signed?
Yes.
How badly do you want to be on the field?
Very bad. I mean, I've been doing this for mostly my whole life, and then all of a sudden it's gone over something very simple to fix. And it's kind of disappointing.
Have they given you any answers as to why they're choosing this year and you to set a new precedent?
If I really wanted to say, yeah, I can't say what I really want to say, but it's their contract. They can do what they want with it.
I love he's always been so kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for here? He's just kind of chill when he answers questions. Like he never gets worked up. He's just kind of relaxed in his delivery. I hope they fix it. I like the guy. I think, it sounds like the Bengals should do the right thing. I'd like to read a little bit more about it. He was given some advice from his not only his family, but I think his representation on how to handle this. Here's Shamar yesterday talking about that.
Just take it day by day, pray to God. He's always going to stand with me no matter what. And just know you're doing the right thing. Like some people say, we all agree Trey will be right? But technically he's still 1% wrong for being under contract. So in my case, I'm 100% right, so it should be a no-brainer. And in Trey's case, I think it should be a no-brainer too. I mean, he led 17.5 sacks for 2 years back-to-back. If I was the GM or I was the owner, take all my money. But I guess they don't operate like that. But
I'm curious how this affects the relationship with the Bengals, because I know business is business, right? When you are a proven commodity like a Trey Hendrickson, I'm sure he starts giving you 17 sacks, you just move on. But if there is once they figure it out, and I think they will figure it out, I'm curious what that does to the relationship with Shamar and that coaching staff and the GM. I'm just curious, like, if he comes out like, just a machine right away and, gets his 3 sacks in the first couple of weeks of the season, if they have it fixed by then it moves on. But you see what I'm saying, Luke? When you're new to a team, when you're the rookie, you want to be quiet. You don't want to have the spotlight on you. Shamar's got a lot of spotlight on him.
Well, 100%. You're mentioning it causing a rift with maybe the owners, but how about it causing some situations on the current team? Joe Burrow actually just said per Pro Football Talk that he was admitting that this Hendrickson dispute is a distraction for the team. So the star quarterback said that came out as about 2 hours ago, that this whole contract dispute, and I guess you could lump Shamar into that as well, because those are the 2 players that are holding out currently from the Bengals. But if it's a distraction and if your quarterback is saying that, imagine what the
I call
language is in the
BS.
front office.
It's not a distract. It'll be a distraction in August. It's not a buddy. I've worked with people at TexAgs that had some disagreements, right, with either other coworkers or even at ABC 13 or when I worked with the Mavs, and I still did my job the same way. Like, oh, they're mad at each other in the coffee room. Ava's going after Jess again, and then you just move on. Like, it's not a real it shouldn't distract freaking Joe Burrow, right? We're talking about the defensive side of the ball. Am I wrong here, Luke? I see.
I mean, you're not wrong. Look, when these guys are getting paid millions and millions of dollars, they should do the job that they're being paid to do. But what the Bengals are trying to do is he's making $21 million and he believes he's worth closer to $35 million. That is life-changing money. That $15 million increase is life-changing money.
$20 million is pretty life-changing,
I know
buddy.
he's already making that, but when these guys, you know how NFL players operate. They just want to be paid what they're owed. And when you lead the NFL in sacks on a team that has a lot of contracts prioritizing Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in that offense, the defensive players just want to be paid what they're owed. And they have a homegrown talent in Trey Hendrickson, who's one of the best in the league, and they won't pay him what he's owed.
I just don't think it's a distraction right now. It can become a distraction. You're not preparing for a game. It's a distraction if you're going to your meeting. You can have multiple tabs open. I use that example all the time. You can. It works. We all have things that we have to balance in life. Just when you're at work, focus. Yeah, it's over. Whatever. You got a game. They don't play until September. If it's a distraction now, come on, guys. We're talking about one of the best defensive players in the league and an up-and-coming rookie. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Around the SEC. Daily Company. They're a family-owned, licensed company that offers HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and generator services that are available 24/7 at your disposal. With HVAC, they'll fix your thermostats, your refrigerant leaks, your furnace failures, your seasonal tune-ups. I think I said seasonal. Susan will tee ups. There you go. Plumbing, leak repairs, clogged drains, heater installation, maintenance, keep those pipes in top shape. You got the electrical from the wiring to the outlet repairs to the upgrades to the safety to the efficiency. And generators, you got repair, maintenance, and installation to ensure preparedness for power outages. They'll take care of you in Bryan College Station, in Houston, and in Austin. They've got upfront pricing with no surprises. Contact the Daily Company, 979-260-2020. That's 979-2060-2020. Or visit them at godaily.com to experience the daily difference. Good song. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Wallow Insurance Studio. Time for Around the SEC, brought to you by the Jaxer Group. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Miss Ava Davis, you've got a top 10 list for us.
I do. Mr. Billy Lucci posted yesterday on Twitter his 2025 rankings preseason top 10 list. At number 1, he ranks Ohio State, 2, Clemson, then Notre Dame, Texas at 4, Penn State, Alabama, Georgia at 7, LSU at 8, Miami, and then number 10 for Oregon.
Okay, so Luke, let's kind of discuss this. The first thing that jumps out at me should be the first thing that jumps out at everybody. 3 of Billy's top 10 are teams A&M's going to play on the road this year. Okay, like you're going to go to Notre Dame. That was his number 3 team. You're going to go to Texas. They're the number 4 team. That'll end the season, obviously. And you go to Baton Rouge, where you haven't won in forever, right? And they're number 8 on the list. So that's the first thing that jumps out at me. The other thing is that outside of maybe Clemson, Penn State, like, you got quarterback questions at Ohio State because you don't know what Julian Sayin is going to be. I don't have questions for Kate Klubnik and Clemson, okay? Notre Dame, new quarterback. Texas, new quarterback. Penn State, same quarterback. Alabama, new quarterback. Georgia, new quarterback. Nuss, back to LSU. Miami, Carson Beck. And you've got Oregon, new quarterback. Like, this list, based on the information we have right now, I think is perfect. But I think there's going to be, like, how good is Clemson going to be this year? A lot of people are buying them, especially Billy has them at number 2. They're going to host LSU week 1 of the season. LSU hasn't won an opening game since Brian Kelly's been there. Curious how that kind of changes the trajectory of both programs. Miami being on the top 10, I think they're going to be pretty good. Billy and I were talking to somebody with Miami when we were at Pate's wedding, and who works for Miami. But he was very high on Carson Beck. Anything jump out at you, Luke, from that list?
Well, we know you and Billy were the features of the Pate wedding. First of all, what a spectacular moment for Josh. What the heck, Richard? My more so thing that I was looking at was also at the bottom of that list. At Oregon, you talk about Evan Stewart, who is going to miss the season with an injury. They've got a relatively, I can see him throwing, unproven quarterback in Dante Moore. I wonder what Oregon will be, but then again, they play in a conference where, you might have one tough game against Ohio State, and then your next toughest opponent is Indiana. So you never truly know about the schedule balance in the Big Ten, but I would be interested to see where Oregon ends up at the end of this year.
So we've got, 3 Big Ten teams? Am I seeing that right? 3 Big Ten teams. Yep. You've got 4 SEC teams. You've got a couple of ACC teams. So SEC, even though everybody says it's over, what were you telling me at the break, Luke? You got 2 teams, most in any conference in the College World Series.
Yeah.
You won the basketball national championship.
You did. Some people forget about that, including myself on air last week.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. I had to correct you there. And, look, football hasn't won a national championship in 2 years. Oh, my God, the horror. When's the last time the Big 12 won a national championship?
I think Oklahoma State just won equestrian.
I meant in college football. Anywho, thank you, Luke. Great job today, buddy.
Thank you.
Contrary to what Richard Zane was saying to me earlier. All right, guys, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Wednesday. Tomorrow on the program, might have Peter Burns. He had to reschedule. Might have him tomorrow, if not tomorrow, Friday. We'll have Stephen McGee. We'll have the Fan Show guys. We'll have Aaron Torres, who's beefing with the schedule makers at the SEC. That was weird. I got to ask him about that. So we'll talk to AT tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We'll see you mañana.